Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Debs for anyone who's new here. So over on my Instagram a couple weeks ago I did a Q&A and you guys, a few of you guys asked how I edit my Instagram photos. And obviously it's not a really easy thing. I've just been like, oh, I just do this. And then voila. So I asked you guys if you would like a video and basically all of you were like, yes, please do it. So thank you guys for thinking that I'm good enough and that I edit well enough. For you guys to want to copy that, so thank you. That's actually such a huge compliment. So I'm so excited to make this video. For any of you who do not follow me over on Instagram, my tag is @Debs_Ruth_. This is like my kind of vibe that I go for, so if you like this sort of a vibe then maybe keep watching so you can see how I do it. But yeah, let's get straight into it so that this video is not too long. Okay, so I'm basically just going to take you through every step of the process that I take in editing my photos and how I go about it and the whole thing. So I'm actually going to put the little, like, my phone up here so you guys can see what I'm doing, so I can show you the whole process. I do everything on my phone. I just find it easier. It's like just much easier to connect, like just to put it onto Instagram then and all those kind of things. And I feel like there are enough good apps on your phone that actually do the job. You don't necessarily need fancy Photoshop or Lightroom or something on your computer. So I start off by going to my photos where I will have my photos. So the photos I'm going to be editing are actually ones that Darren took of me. So they were on his camera, and his camera as well as this camera actually that I'm filming with are really good. They have a really easy like Wi-Fi transferring of photos option that goes straight into your phone, and it's so handy. So these are all the photos that he took that night. We ran up to a field because it was a lovely sunset and we're like, oh, we'll quickly get a few. I actually hated the majority of these photos, which is kind of funny, but there was basically one that I really loved in the end, so it was good. But just so you know, because that was another question I was asked actually, like, do I get the perfect shot every time? No. Like, obviously this was quite a quick photo shoot, I suppose you could say, so there wasn't like loads and loads of photos, but like there are times where you could take hundreds of photos and you maybe get like one or two good ones. But yeah, so this was, I'm just going to go through them really quickly and just show you, so like you can see, like that one's quite a nice one, but it was like a landscape because Darren was looking to take some photos as well. But I was kind of looking for a outfit shot, so like look at that, what is even that, like scary eyes. Oh, come on, swipe. So yeah, none of these are really ones that I wanted. I was kind of hoping these would look better than they did, but I just looked so pale. I just really, my legs are really an area that are not my most confident area, I'd say. Like they're definitely an area that I'm the most self-conscious about. And so I just really did not like these photos. I just felt like my legs was really like pale, but also just really like stumpy, and I just did not like any of these photos. So none of these were really an option for me. So then I came to look at these and I quite like these. These are a bit more like detail-y shots, which wasn't necessarily what I was going for, but I actually really liked them after Darren showed me while we were out a few of them, and I was like, oh, I hate all these like long ones, so like let's just do a few detail ones. So we did a few, but like even like that, so many of them ended up with like a big double chin and whatever. Also my hair was looking terrible that day, but so I think this was actually the photo I ended up liking the most. Some of the time I find if you even sort of like a photo, choose it, give it an edit. These photos I have actually already edited, and this is my next Instagram that I want to post, and so I decided to go through the whole process again with you just to show you what I do, and then we'll post it together at the end. But yeah, so this is the photo I've actually chosen, but as you can see, like when you first look at it you might be like, oh yeah, it's grand, but like it's not necessarily like a banger. But a lot of the time those photos that you're like, oh yeah, it's maybe fine, keep them, give them an edit and do the whole process, and then that might end up being your favorite. Because when I first picked this one, I liked it, it was alright, but it wasn't like my favorite photo. But yeah, so then obviously eyes closed, just not a good shot. Some of these I quite liked, some like slightly more detail-y kind of bits. Like I quite liked this with like the details of my jumper and everything. This one I quite liked. This one I thought I'd like, but then like what is that face, you know? Yeah, this one I kind of liked, but then again I was really cold and it was so obvious on my face and like my neck rolls and everything. I was like, no. So basically, yeah, so I think, was that the one? Yeah, so this is the one. So then I go and I share it to Lightroom. Sharing to Lightroom. And then I basically just go over and go into Lightroom. So Lightroom's always the first one I do. I realized because these photos were a while ago, it's going to have shared them separately again. So I have, as you can see, I already have some of these photos added in to Lightroom because I have really edited them. And usually what I do on my day-to-day when I'm just editing a photo is I would go into a previous photo I've edited, because I kind of have a fairly standard edit that I do now, and I would copy the edit. So let's say, so this is the photo this is how I'm going to show you how to make this one look, if that makes sense. But I usually would go in and I would just go copy settings, copy, and just paste it on, because it's so handy, so easy, and it's also kind of the edit I like. And obviously the edit will slightly change depending on the shot. Like if you have a really warm shot, you're gonna maybe cool it down a bit. If you have a really cold shot, you might want to warm it up, whatever it is. But it really makes that part so much easier, because it means you're not having to fully re-edit your photos every single time, so it's not going to take that whole process every single time. But anyway, let's go into the shot and get started editing. So the first thing I tend to always do is go into my lighting. This one I actually didn't mind the lighting, because I'm kind of going for a slightly darker vibe on my Insta. I actually didn't mind it, so I'm actually going to keep the exposure the same. Contrast I don't tend to play with. I might increase the highlights a little bit, maybe decrease the shadows, just to kind of, yeah, something like, yeah, I kind of mess around with them. Like obviously, you know, if you're going down here it looks bad, and if you maybe wanted it brighter, you can bring your blacks up, but I actually didn't really want to change that madly, so I'm just leaving like that. So the color is the main area that I like to go into, and to go into the mix section, so let me just show you that again. So when you go into the color section, you got temperature, tint, vibrant, saturation, but I go into mix. And then within mix, I usually go into the orange one, and within orange, turning down your luminous will give you that, like, okay, if you go crazy with it, it'll look bad. Like you can see how bad that looks. But if you just give it a little bit, it's not as effective on this photo as other photos, but it will basically give you a little bit more of a tan, which is, I mean, always what you want. And I sometimes would increase the saturation just a little bit, just to kind of give it that slight. A lot of the editing I do is fairly minimal. I feel like I do slightly more of an edit within VSCO, because I go into VSCO after this. But so I found there was a little bit of a pink tone to this photo. I'm trying to think which section. So I kind of would turn down the saturation a bit, maybe. Sometimes the pink luminance can be really interesting what it does. But yeah, just turn down the saturation on the pink just slightly, just because I didn't really want it too pink. I prefer it on the kind of warmer side. So a lot of these aren't really making a huge difference, as you can see, like when I'm moving them up and down. They sometimes don't, but obviously it depends what colors are within the shot. To be honest, like I actually don't think I do much else with this. I might increase the temperature slightly, like literally a 3, hardly anything. And tint, vibrance, no. Okay, so then that's how it is, and that's before and after. I really haven't done very much. So you can see that's fairly similar. I've maybe actually, it looks kind of like I actually slightly reduced my orange luminance a little bit more in the previous shot, but that's okay. I'm happy with that still. So then I go and I press and go save to device. I actually sometimes would even just share it straight to to VSCO, but VSCO is being a little bit awkward recently, and sometimes when I share it straight to VSCO, it like comes in the unedited form, so it's really annoying. So then I go into Plus, and I go into Adobe Lightroom, and I add the photo, import. So again, usually within VSCO, I would also do the same thing. I just copy and paste my settings that I've done from previous times, but I'm obviously going to show you how I do it this time. So I usually would go in. I always would use a little bit of the, where is it? The M5 filter. Not all of it, not as much as 12. Sometimes I might go as high as 6, but I usually would maybe do like a 4.5. It just gives like a nice bit of warmth to a shot. The exposure, again, this will depend on the photo. I actually don't want this to be too bright, so I think I might leave that actually. I always forget that VSCO, you can't just double tap it and it goes back to 0. So on Lightroom, if you double tap the button, it'll go back to 0, whereas you can't do that on VSCO. Anyway, so one thing I always do is add grain. I really enjoy how grain makes photos look. It kind of adds like this kind of cool vintagey look to it, even though it's not vintage at all. So again, this will depend. Like obviously you go up here, it just looks a little bit like I've got some sort of weird rash on my legs. I'd maybe do like a 5.5 for this photo, so you can kind of see the difference that brings, which is quite nice. I just think, I just really like the vintagey look that it brings to it. Skin tone I sometimes mess with depending on the shot. Like this one I think I've kind of sorted out the pinkness, so I'm going to leave that at just the middle. So you can see if I bring it down it goes pinker, and if you bring it up it goes a lot more yellow. But I'd kind of already sorted that in Lightroom, so I didn't really need to. I used to actually only use VSCO to out of my photos. I have quite changed my editing style recently, like in the last couple of months. I've definitely changed it. I'm trying to go for a slightly more of like a natural edit, like I don't like too much of an edit. So then highlights, I do sometimes increase my highlights. I sometimes like how it kind of mellows out the look of it. I never usually play with the shadows at all. Saturation I sometimes would have a look at. I think on this photo, because it was, excuse me, because it was in like the direct sunlight, it was already quite warm, so I didn't feel like I needed to do anything. And that's kind of the majority of it. Like so once I've done that and I feel like I'm happy with it, I will then export it. So I'll go next, come on, okay, and it saves. So you can obviously post onto VSCO if you want, but I never really post onto VSCO. I literally just use it to edit. And so then I press save. So then my next step that I take is I go over to this app called Feed Preview. So actually I realized I haven't taken off this photo yet, but so that's my original edited one. You can see it there. And then I'm gonna add in from my gallery, and I'm gonna go VSCO, so this is the most recent one. And I'm going, oh, you do get ads the odd time. Where did it go? Is this it? I lost it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, cancel. So now I'll go in and find it. So I want to place it here. So I want it to be my next photo. So it'll go in like that. And obviously when you put it into here, it kind of puts it in whatever way it wants. Sorry, that's my sister-in-law. It just puts it in whatever way it wants to put it in, as opposed to necessarily the way you might put it in onto Instagram, if that makes sense. So some tips that I would have for this, if you want to know exactly how it's going to look on your grid, I would go then into Instagram. So I currently have like the vintage cover on Instagram, and I would go plus, and then I would choose my photo. So this is the photo I want to put on, and I go next. Let's say I go, I don't know, I think I'd probably something like that, maybe something like that, because it's kind of one of those ones, as soon as it goes into Instagram, it always cuts off a little bit, which is really annoying, but it's just how it is. So I'd probably do something like that, because I think it's nice to have the little bit of leg in it. But then if you have kind of half the eyebrow looks a bit weird and half the nose looks weird, so like maybe cut it there at the mouth kind of thing. And so I might press done, and then I might go back. Oh flip, it didn't save the draft. Ah, that's annoying. It sometimes saves the draft then, and sometimes it doesn't. I'm not really sure why, so I'm gonna quickly just do that again. So I'm gonna say about there, say done. So then I go next, and I usually just literally go like G, and then go back out, save the draft. So then a good way to do it is then you can go back into your draft, and you can screenshot your draft. So you can go to screenshot, and then as the screenshot, so this is a little bit fiddly, I realize, but I will sometimes do this just to make sure I know that I'm happy with how it looks. And then within my screenshot, I'll press crop, and I will crop it so that it's the kind of crop it's going to be when it is on Instagram. So then it's saved as a crop. So this is obviously not the photo I'm going to use because it's not going to be as good quality, but I'll go back into my feed preview, and then I'll add it from my gallery again. So I need to go back into images, go screenshots, and then that's the crop version, and then I'll put it there. So then I'll see, okay, so that's how it's going to look when it's on my feed. So I can see like when I add it, that's what it's going to look like on my feed. And then I can also, I sometimes use this as a way to work out if I'm happy with the edit. So sometimes I'll even look and I'll be like, oh, maybe it's still a little bit too cold, or maybe it's a little bit too warm, or whatever it is. And I will then kind of adapt that depending on if I'm happy or not with it. It's kind of interesting to see that actually I've definitely edited these two quite differently, and it seems I cropped it a little bit differently when I first did it, which is quite interesting to see. But I feel like it's like that's just such an example. Like editing is so much about just like what you feel like, what you're feeling like at the time. Like obviously I very much try to make sure that all my photos like do have a similar like vibe to them, and that they all kind of coordinate and go together. But there's not really a right or wrong way of doing anything. Like it all just works how it works, you know. And so like never feel like you're doing it wrong. I feel like always going for the slightly more natural approach is definitely a better way to do it. And I feel like it's also become a lot more popular and like in style to have like a more unedited edit, if that makes sense. Like a lot of people I follow or people I see with really gorgeous feeds are very unedited, which is really, really cool because it's not so like fake and stuff. Okay, so then I tend to go back to the photo in my original camera, so where I've saved it from VSCO. And just because sometimes I find that like I edit one and then I change it and then I edit it differently or something. So I always like, or sometimes like I add my screenshot to like the feed preview or whatever it is. So like then I get myself all confused and then I'm not sure, and then I end up maybe like uploading like the really bad quality one. So I always go back into the VSCO section of my phone and I get the photo. So this is the photo, and then I always press send to more. It doesn't always let me do straight to that, and I go into Instagram feed. And so then it adds straight to there, and then we can mess around with it. I think I prefer at the mouth area, like that. I think that looks the best. It maybe doesn't look as good though on the feed. So then I sometimes might go in, especially if something's a bit skew, I might come in here and I might play with it. I sometimes use these things to straighten this, like to straighten an aspect. Like sometimes a photo will literally just look better with a little bit of that adaptation, like moving your chest forward or your hips backwards or whatever, or even if it's like a building or something. Like sometimes playing with that aspect to make sure that the building actually looks straight makes the photo look 10 times better. But yeah, let's see, what do we think? Do we think a bit more? Do one bit nose? No, I think probably like that's best, just with the lips at the bottom. Don't want our nostrils in it though. Yeah, I think that probably looks the best. And sometimes even I might actually just zoom her in and just fully cut out my face if I'm just feeling like it doesn't work, because obviously this was kind of it was sort of cut out in the first place. Actually, you know what? Let me keep my face in. I find, this is a really random fun fact for you, but I find my likes are higher if my face is in the shot. For some reason, I'm not really sure why. I'm not sure if it's because like there's a more personalness to it. I find that people, well, yeah, I find people, I really love like detail shots and those kind of things. I think they're so cool, but it seems overall people don't prefer them, like likes wise, you know, if you want to gauge that on what people like and don't like, you know. So yeah, no, I'm gonna keep mine because I got a little bit of leg in the bottom, so it's kind of still obvious that my skirt cuts off there. And I can press done. I don't tend to edit in Instagram at all. I used to edit in Instagram, but I've kind of stopped. I'm kind of just happy with how it is like that. So I press next, and I think of a caption. This is always the hardest part. I'm so bad at thinking up captions. Like it takes me ages, and I'm always like, Darren, tell me a good caption. I don't know. Like sometimes I'll literally just talk about the outfit I'm wearing and I'll be like, I love blazer, blah blah, whatever. Or sometimes I might kind of make a joke or something like fun, or I might reference that I just posted a YouTube video or whatever. I don't know, I suppose it's kind of like, it's a good way to kind of show your personality through your Instagram, because I find that Instagram is a much harder platform to show personality through. Because obviously I feel like it's a lot easier on like a video where you're just chatting and you're like, oh hey, and to show your personality, whereas through a photo it's quite hard to show personality, especially in a photo like this where like I'm just looking like a moody, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, now this will be the part that I'm gonna spend way too long thinking about, so bear with. Okay, so if anyone actually wants to like literally write my captions for me, that would be amazing, because I just don't write good Instagram captions. So I'm kind of saying like the ultimate autumn essentials or something. Autumn essentials, yeah. Essentials. And that's gonna be blazers. Ooh. Blazers. And gosh, look how bad I am at spelling. Blazers and sweater vests. And then I might do kind of like just a white heart or something. I don't know, I quite like doing a heart. I sometimes kind of might relate the heart to like the color in the photo, or if it's like somehow related. I try to kind of do emoji that like sort of relates to the photo in some way. Sometimes it just doesn't, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this. Like sometimes I might be all like cheesy and do a quote, but like it really just depends on the day, it depends on my mood, it depends if I'm feeling creative caption wise, because I feel like I'm not particularly creative caption wise. I might also mention in this one, this is my amazing charity shop blazer that I did a styling video on. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Over on my YouTube channel. And then because YouTube's red, I might do a red heart. That's kind of the gist of it. Like, that's kind of, this is my amazing charity shop blazer that I did a styling video on. If you haven't seen it, go check it out over my YouTube channel. Like, sometimes I might like kind of throw in that with like, oh yeah, go check out my YouTube channel, and sometimes I might not bother. It really depends. I kind of maybe do it like once a week, that I might kind of hint to my YouTube channel. And I might also mention, like, because obviously today that I'm filming it is Wednesday, and I'm posting a vlog, just a day in the life vlog. So then I might actually even do a PS as well, just to be super long with my caption. PS, day in the life vlog pending ... You know, just to be all mysterious and all that jazz. So I've actually stopped putting my hashtags within my caption, partially because I'm not even sure if hashtags work, and they really annoy me, like the way that it like drops down, and I just don't like it. So I've kind of stopped. So then I would tag my clothes. So this is like mango, so I'll just tag mango, and I usually tag this page called Mango Outfits. Whether it's actually worth tagging, who really knows, but I do it anyway. So then I tag like H&M. So this is an H&M shirt, and this is a Zara skirt, so I'll tag Zara. This is, obviously that's mango, so I'm going to tag mango again. And this jewelry is all Lines and Current, so I'll tag Lines and Current. And that's the majority of what I'm wearing there, so then that's all good to go. Yeah, that's kind of all. So then I will share it. Actually, let me just show you, share it. The ultimate, let me just read it again. I always double check to make sure. The ultimate autumn essentials, blazers and sweater vests, white heart. This is my amazing charity shop blazer that I did a styling video on. If you haven't seen it, go check it out over my YouTube channel. PS, day in the life vlog pending. People tagged. I never put my location in, and I never posted anything else. But yeah, so that's all. And then I press share, and then she's loading, finishing up. So can you see the video can't be posted? That's been there for ages, and I can see that it's shared. I always go straight over to my my actual Instagram, and I check that I'm happy with it on my grid. Oh yeah, I'm happy. I think that looks great. The coloring is maybe slightly different between those two shots. Okay, that's the previous ones. Oh, we've already even got a comment. Oh, that's nice. I'm not gonna lie, that usually never happens. But yeah, so then that's that. Then that's posted, and I'm happy out. She's on my grid, she's all edited, and we're all good to go. So yeah guys, that is literally it. I feel like I might have babbled for quite a while, so I might have to cut certain bits of that out. But I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful, because obviously these kind of things, like, I actually wanted to be useful for you guys, and like useful like for you to know what like to do yourself if you're struggling with that aspect, because I know it can be really hard. I think it's also really handy because all that stuff, it means that like my vibe is quite similar throughout my whole Instagram. It's really easy. If you have a really similar edit, then your whole Instagram kind of ties together really nicely because it all coordinates with each other. So yeah, I really hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.